I'd like to talk a little bit about data asset virtualization, management, and optimization, because that's another one of the managed services that we provide. We did some research, and we are always researching cool companies to partner with. And one of the companies we discovered was Denodo, which is based out of the United States. And what really interested us about Denodo is their data virtualization, and another way of framing that is logical data fabric solution. And that solution basically allows a client to leverage off of all of the data investments they've made, whether it's an application, a database, a data warehouse, a data lake, could even be spreadsheets. And it allows us to help the client by layering this middleware over their technology architecture. And what we do is we basically create or facilitate the acquisition of data as an asset. Almost think about data the way you would buying something off of Amazon.
Right.
So you have a data catalog like you have an Amazon catalog. You need a piece of data or several pieces of data to help you answer questions about a business issue, a business risk or challenge, or it could be a regulatory issue. And with this layer that sits on top of the technology architecture and infrastructure, you basically logically determine what pieces of data can flow where in the organization and who should have access to what data, what kind of identity and access rules there should be. So you also address privacy and information security issues at the same time. But more importantly, you decide logically on what information a certain stakeholder should have, and you enable them to access that information without needing to use the IT organization as a bottleneck,
Right.
or as a conduit, because once it's established, they have direct access to that data.
Exactly. So, you're really democratizing data within the organization to people who would normally not have access to it, but also making it easier for them to find the data, because it's essentially stitching, all these disparate sources together. So it looks like you're going to one source for the data, but it's really being pulled from multiple areas.
Yeah.
So, that helps in speeding it up.
A lot.
And it makes it much easier to get the data for those important strategic business decisions that you need to make. So it's really powerful, and it fits into this very much hot topic of building a data mesh, in your organization, which, a data mesh strategy it's a strategy, right? Like, how are you organizing the organization in terms of, the people and the process, and, who is going to be those domain experts in regards to certain types of data?
Right.
How is IT going to understand the needs of the business as it relates to that data? So, when they get access, they're getting access to the right types, right? So it's a whole strategy. So when you are tasked with developing this data mesh, it's really a governance framework. It's not a piece of technology. So, our partners at Denodo really complement that objective in taking the technology that is Denodo, but then pairing it with an organization like ourselves, who have, the expertise and the strategy and the governance and the go forward plan to execute on that and, leverage the technology at the same time.
Yeah, and I think that also goes back to our program management roots too, because when we started out managing really, really large programs, we had to really understand the interdependencies between the different elements of the program. Same thing with data mesh, exactly. You need to understand all of the interdependencies organizationally on the data, on the applications, on the databases, all of that stuff. And you need to be able to create a marketplace. Like I keep bringing this back to Amazon, but it's the perfect metaphor. Because with Amazon, I mean, they didn't decide on day one, oh, we need 1,000 products that we're going to offer to our clients. Organically, additional products get added to the marketplace based on demand and based on vendors that come to the fore. Same thing with Data Mesh. Exactly. Clients start to demand certain types of data, but then they start to demand other types of data. And by setting up a framework where those data assets are earmarked proactively, the client or the business stakeholder can go and get access to that data very, very easily. And Denodo sets up the whole infrastructure and basically takes all of the heavy lifting out of that whole process so that it's, again, automated, everything is seamless, everything is easy to access, and you do it once, and then after that, business stakeholders can use it many, 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 many times in infinitely different ways. So the managed service we're providing there is really, it's not around just the technology solution which we're selling and we're offering, but around all of the management consulting and the managed services around understanding how to set up the right business architecture, the data architecture, the information architecture, the technology architecture, and of course the right governance, and also performance measurement as well. How do you measure performance in that environment? How do you determine that you're actually achieving ROI? And that's one of the things we loved about Denodo, is Forrester did an extensive study on the kinds of bottom line benefits Denodo's made. And we're looking at like 10 times magnitude in terms of speeding up the whole process of disseminating data. So, if something took you 100 days to deliver to an IT organization was delivering a piece of data in 100 days, sometimes more, to a business stakeholder, now they could do it in 10 days.
Right.
I mean, that's huge. And then in terms of ROI, think about your ability to answer questions and make better decisions where you're not spending money that you don't have to spend because you don't have to spend it. These are things that are key. So I mean, the cost benefits are incredible, and on our website we have the Forrester report, which you can read and have a look at. But I attended a conference in New York City in October of last year, and I mean, it was astonishing to me that the best salespeople for Denodo were their clients. They had achieved incredible financial benefits, and they wanted the world to know about it. And I think that's the best success story you could ever hope to have, right?
I agree.